All right, folks. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks so much for being with us today. We can't do the show without you. Thank you so much. 870-275-9799. Please welcome back to the program. We have from the Gun Owners of America, we've got Jordan Stein back with us. Jordan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's always great to talk to you. This is pretty serious stuff. We got Republicans kind of coalescing around red flag laws. What's Gun Owners of America? What are you guys doing about it?
Well, we have sent action alerts to both President Trump and the Senate, urging them to forsake these red flag laws. These red flags has been Trump's one of his strong responses to these shootings, and he could not be more wrong on this issue. We don't need more gun control. We need more people shooting back. And what these red flag laws do is they completely circumvent due process and allow for the confiscation of guns. And it's a very scary thought to see all these Republicans just supporting it.
I mean, I agree. I can't imagine. There are some of the Republicans that are coming out for this. They're saying that you can do both. Like you can do this and respect due process and respect the Second Amendment. Is that true?
But the problem with these gun confiscation orders, as we like to call them, is most of the time you don't know an order has been called on you until the police come to your door at 5 o'clock in the morning, like they did with the Maryland man we talked about. There's been the problem with these is they are ex parte hearings, right? That means that the hearing goes on, you're completely unaware of it going on there. You're not there to defend yourself in court. It's completely one-sided, and then after your guns are confiscated, you have to sue to get your gun rights back and try to convince that the judge made a mistake, and that really never happened.
So, how many states right now have these terrible laws?
There's about 14 of them that have them.
Okay, and what they're proposing, would be a national policy. Is that correct?
So what the Republicans have put forward is essentially a federal bribe pot, is what we call it. They're putting money to give to these states that pass red flag laws. So let's say that if Arkansas passed one, they would get so much money from the federal government to implement it. So that is typically what Lindsey Graham and Trump has proposed.
And so we'll have to hear our local politicians talking about how we need to do this so we can get money from the federal government. That's what we'll have to hear if they go through with this.
And it's already hard enough to stop these at the state level because, as you know, some state-level Republicans support that. We look at Florida, which is considered, the gun-shine state, and they pass red flag laws. So just because you live in a red state does not mean that you're immune to these orders or a legislative threat.
Do you think that it's possible, okay, you have a red flag law, and somebody says that there's a crazy person, doesn't need guns, they're afraid he's going to do something terrible. Do you think there's instances where it could work and actually stop a mass shooting is what I say. When I say work, it could stop a mass shooting. Go ahead.
Well, we already have methods through existing law that have proper due process protections that could come in. You look at the Parkland shooter. The police were reported on him dozens of times, and yet there was no action taken on him. They could have, charged him with a felony with trying to commit a mass killing, and then they could have taken in and took his guns there and potentially stopped him. But, trying to predict people that are going to commit these terrible crimes is like you're trying to do the Minority Report. You're trying to play God and predict the future that this person might be dangerous.
I also think, Jordan, that if you take somebody's guns who's legitimately plotting, they're probably just going to go out and learn to make a bomb. So Oklahoma City, that's 168 people that were killed with and no guns were used.
Exactly. I was just about to bring that up. Or you look in Nice, France, when they had trucks, and I believe they tragically killed 86 people. The problem isn't guns. The problem is evil hearts, and I've been saying that a lot recently. Sadly there's evil in this world, and good, honest people need to recognize that and to be prepared to fight against evil. And that's what we're advocating for here at GOA. We're not, wanting to play a minority report. We want to stand up and fight against evil.
We had a situation here in Arkansas, and it made the papers. A small school district of Valonia, there was a man that was reported of saying some really strange things on social media. A photo with people's heads circled in red, and that combined. I mean, there was a mountain of evidence. It was not good. So the school removed him. Said you can't come back. We don't want you here. I think that he was arrested at one point, and then of course it got caught up in the courts, and the courts decided no, you have to let this kid go to school there. So I mean, there is. We already have people that if you see something, you say something, and yet they're still not able to secure and make kids safe. So I think there's a lot of stuff a lot of reforms we can look at when it comes to a situation like I mentioned, instead of okay, let's just preemptively take your guns away, because I think, Jordan, right, the danger here is that the left will abuse these red flag laws, correct?
Absolutely. And I can't help but bring up Gary Willis again. He was the subject of a political disagreement with a family member in Maryland, and that family member wanted to get back at him. They called in these red flag laws, and the police came to his door at 5 o'clock in the morning and trying to take his guns, and they ultimately killed him. That is what these red flag laws are. And you look at social media and how people are crying that, like, Facebook and Twitter and Google are like shadow banning conservatives and everything. Well, if you think they're going to do that to you on social media, what do you think they're going to do when they can take away your gun? Mm-hmm. The same people who are reporting you on social media are going to be calling into gun confiscation orders.
Yeah.
So it's really a dangerous measure that we need to stand against.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't even thought of that. Look at how vicious they are in social media. By reporting things, and they now say there are people on the left, Jordan, I just mentioned this, that think that speech is violence in some instances, and so yeah, they absolutely will, and so I guess I didn't realize that if somebody reports you under a red flag law, that you don't actually even know the proceeding is going on. You're not actually even allowed to face your confusion or accuser. And then the judge says, take the guns away. And then you have this confrontation where one party doesn't even know what's going on, just thinks, somebody's coming to take his rights away.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's called an ex parte hearing, when the person who's being discussed is not there to defend himself. So you don't have your day in court before your guns are taken. You have to then later sue to convince the judge, to convince the other party that they were wrong in taking your guns, which judges never want to admit that they're wrong. So it's almost a lose-lose situation, and it's just like we're taking the Bill of Rights, shredding it and throwing it out the window. Mm-hmm. That's what these gun confiscation orders, red flags, are.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if the red flag laws were in existence and Charlton Heston stood up and said, "From my cold, dead hands"? That implies that if anyone were to try to take his guns, that you'd have to kill him to do it. Well, you could say, so there's some First Amendment implications here. It's like, oh, you said that? You said, "From my cold, dead hands"? Oh, well, I think you're a dangerous person, and let's have the ex parte hearing. I mean, there's stuff that I say on this program that I'm sure people disagree with. But, I mean, how long would it take for them to report me saying, Paul said this and seemed kind of upset. I don't know if he should own firearms. And he mentioned he did own firearms. I mean, that's what's going to happen if they do this. And here's the other thing, Jordan. It doesn't stop here. If the Republicans do this and they cave and their answer is gun confiscation in certain situations, that's what their answer is. We know that there will be another tragedy. There will be another mass shooting. And the Democrats are going to come back and say, well, now we want this instead. And it is just a road, a march to gun confiscation and eliminating the Second Amendment entirely.
I completely agree. And look, the Republicans are thinking, oh, we need to be reasonable. We need to offer up some type of compromise. Well, Chuck Schumer put out a statement yesterday that I tweeted about saying we don't want a quote, tepid red flag law. We want red flags and universal background checks. So the Republicans should in no way just try to cave in on this. They should, in fact, bring up pro-gun measures like concealed carry reciprocity or suppressor deregulation. They should not give 1 ounce of gun control any light of day and actually do measures that's going to make us safer and let people carry guns and protect themselves. Because that's what we need.
I totally agree. So are you guys, I mean, not to get you to just, I know, we're not going to hold you to the speculation, but I mean, right now as it is, what do you think of the outcome of this? Do you think Republicans are actually going to, are there going to be enough Republicans to get this passed?
I think the biggest factor is how vocal gun owners are. If gun owners are like, oh, Trump doesn't mean it, or he's playing 3D chess, or if gun owners sit on their hands, then it will pass. So we need to get active. We need to be vocal. We've sent email alerts and Facebook alerts out, all along this week. So we need to call, or senators call Trump, email, light up their phone lines and inboxes and let them know that this is intolerable. We do not need 1 ounce of gun control.
Jordan Stein with Gun Owners of America. Thank you so much for coming back on the program and giving us this important information. We do need to call our elected officials and tell them to say no.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jordan. Gun Owners of America, everybody.